Hello, welcome to episode 11 of Coaching the Coaches. In this episode, we're going to be discussing the 4-3-3 formation and the benefits it has in terms of a soccer pitch or a football pitch. My background is in GAA, football, but I also have many interests in rugby, hockey, ice hockey. I have a lot of encouragement from different sports, boxing, MMA. Not so much MMA. Wouldn't be as big a fan of it. I wouldn't be a big fan of basketball, but I would still learn from it. I still watch videos on it. I still try and encourage the players with their quick hands and shot selection and things like that, which we take from basketball. But mainly, I am a lover of sports. The only sport that I can't really have is cricket. I just find it very confusing, but also not really sure. It's not really sure what's going on, but that's not to take away from it. I'm just not a fan of it. Right, the whole point of these videos is to give novice coaches just an idea of different things and to just open the door for them, and then it's up to them to encourage and to keep moving on. Now, as these series progresses, there will be chances, there will be more meat put to the bones, but this is not a series to dictate or to it's more to encourage young novice coaches or parents to maybe understand better where the coach is coming from, their local coach, and also to maybe try to participate if they want to into helping the coach rather than the coach. And the coach sometimes don't have time to tell you these things that I am trying to show you. Alright, so 4-3-3 formation. It's very simply one goalkeeper. Obviously, they're never mentioned in the formation because there's always one of them. So you have four defenders, three predominantly midfielders, and three predominantly forwards. It looks that's what basically it looks like on the field. Um, there's a lot of different variations of this formation. A lot of coaches like it because it's flexible. You can drop the two. They would be referenced in soccer or Gaelic or football. I'll just say football because that's what I'm used to. Them two wingers would more than likely, when the defence is happening, drop back and make a five across the midfield here to give more strength. But also the good thing about this formation is you have three forward thinking players. You can't force a Jordan Henderson into a Kevin De Bruyne. You just can't do that there on a field. You can do it over 3 years, but you don't have 3 years. You have to have people that, like Everton. You have to have a Sigurdsson. You have to have Kone. You have to have players at the top of the pitch that know where the goal is and that know how to attack and that know how to do tactically things very well. There's no point in you having the likes of Guy used to be there, Idrissa Guy. There's no point in having three of him in midfield if you don't have players to balance that there. For every defensive player you have, you nearly have to balance it with an offensive player. And what I mean by that is, if you have a very defensive minded player, you can't have, unless you're really up against it, against Man United or Everton versus Accrington Stanley or something like that, or Yeovil Town, where you can't, you've two banks of five. Now, we're not going to discuss that today because we're discussing this formation, but you need players that are going to score you goals, because if you don't score goals, you're only going to draw, or worse, you're going to get defeated. You have to have a plan when going forward and you also need a plan when coming when defending. That's where this formation comes in handy. That if you have two wingers, that are really happy to run the channels, like a Walcott, like a Richarlison, if you have players that are going to work really hard for you, then they are attacking midfielders, right midfielders, and attacking left midfielders, and if they can do both things well, then you will progress. Now, the formation works really well that if you're playing against a 4-5-1 and they only have one attacker up the field, like we talked about in the previous videos, there's no point in you having 4 defenders back because there's 4 trying to mark 1. And then in the midfield you have 3 versus 5. So what you would do in that situation is you would push your full backs forward. So it's 2 centre backs against the 1 forward. Push your 2 wing backs forward to pick up the midfielders. So now you have 5 versus 5 in the middle of the pitch because you have your 3 midfielders, you have your 2 wing backs. So that would leave 3 against 4 in your forward line against your defenders. That's pretty good odds. So what you are looking to do is you're looking to get that overload all the time, because if you have 8 players in their box, 99 times out of 100 you're talking 8 versus 9, but in limited space, and your attacking threats out. Because if you play the likes of Sam Allardyce's sort of style of football, or people like that that want to get the ball up fast, up to the main man, well, if he's 2-on-1, it already nearly nullifies your attacking potential. And all that the previous coach has done is they push their wing backs up. Now, the likes of Ancelotti, he likes to play football, but he also likes to be direct, and he likes to get the ball up to his strikers very quickly. Now, there is a number of ways to do that, but the 4-3-3 formation is basically this here. It's basically 3 defenders and 4 defenders, 3 midfielders, 3 attackers. The reason that this works so well, and the reason that a lot of people are doing it, is because of how versatile it is, and because of all them things. And also you can outthink your opponent, because, as I say, if they change their formation, if they went 3-4-3, it's obvious that in underage and in sort of amateur sport, you do have to try and put a square peg in a round hole. You do have to try and do that. But in the professional sport, a well thought out, well managed club will have players on the field. The golden nugget for any professional club is to have a player that can play in 2, possibly 3 formations, or 3 positions, so that you can adapt. Because if you have 4-3-3 and your left winger can also play left midfielder, now I know maybe you're thinking that should be quite easy to do, but it's not, because in the left winger does not have as many defensive responsibilities as the left midfielder. So in theory, you have to, in terms of the left midfielder, can't be greedy. You have to be more of a team player, but you also have to be able to understand and adapt quicker. Whereas the left winger, the likes of Lionel Messi, the likes of Ronaldo's, things like that, they maybe when the ball's lost, Dybala, when the ball's lost, even Richarlison, he can be guilty of it. They think their job's done. When the ball's in their team when their team has the ball, if I can learn to talk, then they come to life. But there's only so many gifted, talented players that you can actually do that with, because you don't want a Ronaldo, Messi, you don't want a player of that quality, a Lewandowski, you don't want him on the edge of your box. You want him on the edge of their box. So you would take more risks and say, right, you stay up, and you make sure and keep us as high up the field as you can. Now, you only need one, possibly two players to do that, and that's what Liverpool do very well at the minute with Salah. They keep him up the pitch. So you never ever want, if you can help it, a one-on-one from against anyone, let alone the best player or one of the best players in the world. You want that when he gets the ball, he's 2-on-1. Now you can still a player like Mane can still beat you 2-on-1, but you've more of a chance of stopping him. So if you think about it, if you have your best attacker on the end line or on the halfway line, that's enough to disrupt the defensive the defensive thinking of the other team. And that's where this game is wonderful, and this game is so brilliant. And I haven't disclosed this before, but I would be a massive Celtic Football Club fan, and I would watch the games as much as I can and get over as much as I can. But the point I'm trying to make with that news is I watched the Rangers game last week and against Livingston, and to me, Steven Gerrard was very naive because he was playing. There was only one player up top, your man Hamilton, against Livingston. He shouldn't have been playing 4-3-3. He should have been playing 3-4-3. He should have had three centre backs. He should have had Tavernier and Berisic up the field. He should have had Kamara was far too negative. He should have had him off. He should have had Steve Davis or somebody like that on. He should have had Ryan Jack, and then he should have had Kent, Morelos, and maybe another. Your Hadji has been playing, but he's not been playing very well. So you need to try and get them players up the field. But instead, what he did was he kept his two centre backs, Goldson and Helander. He kept Kamara on the field, three very defensive minded players. There's no point in doing that against one striker. Now, it can come back to bite you, it can, but it's very unfortunate if it does, because you have to adapt in any sport, barring a sport that is very slow and very one-dimensional. You have to adapt, and you have to adapt quickly. If you are playing the first half an hour, you've mainly most of the possession, you're getting a few chances. The problem with Rangers last week was they weren't moving the ball quick enough. And if you don't move, it's the same with Celtic the 2 weeks before that against Kilmarnock. They didn't move the ball fast enough. They didn't try and get into the pockets. They didn't try and dictate. Once they won the ball, Celtic did not move the ball to their opposition's box as quick as they could. Why did they not do that? I don't know, because Neil Lennon must have told them to stay controlled, stay in your position, and the chance will come. But that's no good. You have to move the ball fast. You have to play it down the channels. You have to stretch the defence, because if you're not doing them things, they'll be organised. They'll put a row of four at the edge of their box, which is very, you see Kilmarnock, I can't remember the manager's name, but he has got them playing very well in terms of shape, in terms of cooperation, in terms of what things that they're doing. It's very good. But that's where football, in my opinion, I love it so much, because now that I have a bit of coaching experience, I'm watching games differently, I'm looking at them differently, and I'm seeing things that I've never seen before. I'm seeing things that I'd never even thought of before. And that's why, you have to try and outthink your opponent. And that's why I'm saying to you here that the most important thing, in my opinion, about this hero is that you have to try and get the excuse me, the numbers correct. You have to try and get the numbers correct in terms of your formation, and that's where adaptability comes into it. If you're playing one, if the opponent is playing one up top, 4-5-1, or 4-3-3, but it's 1-4-5-1. 4-5-1's the main one I can think of off the top of my head. There's no point in you having 4 defenders. Now, you could very well say, yes, but our 2 fullbacks are Robertson and Alex Trent, or Barisic and Tavernier, or Greg Taylor and Frimpong. They're going up the field. Yes, there are potential, but that doesn't change their job in the team. The job in the team for any defender is to not concede. But if you're going to do that, then you have to get the balance right. You see Celtic at the minute, they have James Forrest and they have Frimpong. They both are trying to operate in each other's areas. That does not work. If you want Frimpong, in my opinion, if you want to play Frimpong on the right, you cannot play James Forrest on the right as well. Because I just don't like it. I think that I just think they take each other's space up, but they also are trying to do the same things, and then if it doesn't work for one, it's not going to work for the other. I really do think that the way Celtic's playing at the minute, the best formation for them is 3-5-2. You should have Ajer, Julian and Bitton in the middle. You should have either Taylor or Frimpong, the fullbacks. Have one wing back, and then the other, you have your 3 midfielders in the middle. Brown, you should have McGregor, and you should have Christie, or you should have Ntcham. Then you should, if you have Greg Taylor on this side, you should have your winger on the other side. So that's your 5. So it's sort of balanced out. And if you have your Frimpong, then you need to have El Younousi. But that's the way you have to do it. You can't have both wings bombing forward. Now you can in times do that, but you shouldn't. You should try and get the balance right so that you're promoting players and that you're building a more dynamic situation. So that's the good things about the 4-3-3. As I say, the next video is going to be about the defending, and I will see you all. And don't forget to follow at Coaching Codes, and also if you like the videos, subscribe to Conor Cunningham on YouTube. Thank you very much.